are starting with the same point where we left off in our last video. Now we are going to start with now I will use in this video how to apply different count functions. So in the previous video we saw the count function in Dax formula language allow us to calculate non-blank values in a column of a table in Power BI. So this is a useful function when we try to get a profile of data in front of us. We now explore a variety of other count functions which allow us count the occurrence of different types of values. So next up we will make use of count rows function. For this we can navigate to new measure, and as we click on it, it will start in few seconds. Yes, and we will give the name to new measure count rows. Count rows of which one table? I want to count the row of customer. So as we enter hit, we can see there is a new measure count rows has been added here in the fields menu. So now what we will do, we will now click on a blank part of the report and we will just simply place a card there. There is a new card here, and what we can do now, we will just drag and drop count rows to the fields menu and we will see what it will return. So for the customer table, we just drag and drop count rows here. See, this is count rows, return the total number of rows there in table. So count rows function is really function when you want to count overall rows of a data set. It is also useful for us to view the value directly as we have here or as a part of product calculation, where perhaps we want to know what proportion of product content have a specific value to compute the profession. We will of course need to know the total number of rows in the table and count rows will return it to us. Let's move along from count rows to another count function, specifically count blank, which you can think of as the inverse of count functions. So while count return the number of non-blank function in a specified column, count blank return the number of blank values. To see it in our action, let's go to the create a new measure. So we are just going to create a new measure, but first I just want to shift some these data. So we can adjust new values here. Okay. So now we are back to, we have to create a new measure, and here we will go to create a new measure and we will create a measure. So as it process, we will create a new measure name of count blank gender. So now I will use count blank function. So you can see it's a, there are number of functions there. You can see which we can use according to our requirement. So we are using See, we have used count rows, count text. We know that count text will perform some filtering operation. Now we will use count blank. Count blank on what column? Count blank on customer gender blank. No. Okay. So this new user is will be added and we can confirm it in the fields menu after and hitting enter. See, there is a new measure has been added, count blank gender. So we will perform in the same way. We just make use of it again, like we will drag and drop card here in here, and a new card will be yes, a new card will be added. So let's click on blank portion of report and we can create a new as well. So what we should do now, go for menu and what we have created now, count blank gender. We just drag and drop here and it will return the values of count blank in the gender column. You can see how it's returning. So now we have four different count functions. But we will compare two of them. See, if gender count, this is the value, we will add this to the blank value, it will return this one. You can see these all values are correct. In gender, total count is this, count rows is this, in gender count non-blank is this, and blank is this. So these both will add to this. So now we have four different count function, but now compare three of them. 5645 count for gender blank column and 2 return for count blank on the same function. Together they will return this. Okay. The sum of both will be 5647, which is what the count rows function return. So these distinctions are important when you are using Power BI in your report. Let's move on to another count function, and this is to count another distinct value in a specific column. First, what we need to do, we need to adjust it. We'll adjust it here. So, guys, what we need to do, calculate, we just create a, we are just going to create a new measure for distinct count. And we will create a measure here by name distinct count. Distinct count. And for distinct count, we can use distinct count function. We can see distinct count here. Distinct count on the table with column what? On the table customer with column gender blank. So what we will do now? We will just click enter. After clicking enter, we can see a different measure distinct count has been added, and we will now process the same steps. I guess we have some idea what the outcome of this measure will be, since we know the other two values in the column are female and male. So now what it will return to see, we just add a card holder here and we just drag and drop distinct count to here. We can see the value we get is 3. There are two values, male, female and blank. So it is counting 3. While we apply distinct count function to gender blank column, we can easily imagine that this can be very useful when we apply it to many different types of values as well. So if we have a product category, if we want to know the number of distinct product on offer, well, this distinct count function can be applied. Now you go and you might consider the fact that distinct count function does suffer from the drawback that it count blank as a distinct value. So if you want to distinct count by ignoring blank, there is a new measure which we can create. First, just adjust this value to here and create a new measure. And we will add a distinct count no blank. And there is another function here which can we can use in Power BI to calculate with no blank. So we will use distinct count no blank. We will use function distinct count no blank. So guys, as I'm applying a new function, you can see there are another one functions are which you can do here. So distinct count no blank on which table, on customer table with gender blank. Okay, as we hit enter, the new measure will be created with the name distinct count no blank. So now we will see what value it will return, and for that we will just click on the blank part of the view of this report and we just add a card here. After adding a card, we can drag and drop distinct count no blank value to the fields. So there are two values, male and female, with no blank. Okay. And sure enough, this returns a value of 2 having use of count function few times. Well, now explore the related function for count because we have already used count function many times. The related function which is count a. So for that we will head over to data view. We saw that count function can be applied for both the gender and gender blank column. And now count a function can also be applied for gender and gender blank, this one and this one. Similar fashion, the count function can also be applied for this and this. So now we will use count a to the same column and the same value will return. In the context of DAX between count and count a, the count a can also work for boolean data types. This is the main difference. However, now we will apply count a function on this city column, on the city column. So let's get the preview on the content of the column by expanding the menu. You can see that there are various values. You can see that in this column handful of blank here and also a number of non-blanks, all these values. So now we have an idea of what this column contains. We can cancel this view, head over to report tab where we will create a new measure which makes list which makes use of count a function on the city column. So we create a new measure for this. The name of the measure will be count a city. So we will go to the, we will adjust it here and now we will go to the new measure. New measure where count a city, where we can see there are different count functions will be now here. So count a we are using, but if we are use count ax, it will you can put some condition even there if which we have used previously. So count a customer city, table customer on column city. So this is how we rewrite down the DEX expression. I think till now you are very familiar how to write it down. DEX expression on table on particular column on with some condition. So as we hit enter, a new measure will be there with the name count a city. So with the same steps, we are entering a card place holder here, and as we enter a card placeholder here, we just drag and drop count a to the fields, and we can see it's returning the value 5644. So now we have made use of a variety of different count operations, and I guess till now you are very familiar where in measure we write it down. There are multiple count functions are there. So according to our requirement, we can apply the function on particular table on particular column. So I am ending my demo here. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you. Thank you so much.